I guess my story of thoroughly being embarrassed on a golf course was the Open at Royal Birkdale in 17. I was working with a European Tour broadcaster, a guy who's won on the European Tour named Paul Eales. And we were assigned to final round, Jordan Spieth and Matt Kuchar. And they played the 12th hole. That was a little par 3, kind of a Redan green. And then you go up a hill to the 13th tee box. Now, everyone remembers what happened at 13 with Jordan Spieth on that Sunday, but they may not know what led to it. Walking up that hill to get to the 13th tee, the R&A had the ropes a little too close. And the faithful who had had a few pints throughout the course of the day were pressing in on the ropes to the point that all of us that were inside the ropes and doing what we were doing, players, caddies, all of us, we could only go up that hill one at a time. We would only fit through those ropes one at a time because of the way that the gallery had it pressed in. So by the time we got to the 13th tee, none of us had time to disperse. So we were all crowded around the 13th tee, and there was this sense of falling behind, just a sense of being rushed because of what happened. It's kind of a secret story that no one knows about with that Open. In fact, Matt Kuchar, I saw even complaining to some of the R&A officials. So Jordan got up there, obviously rushed, blocked his shot off to the right. We knew that he blocked it to the right, but because we were all swooshed in on the tee box, we couldn't see where the ball ended up. So Jordan took off. After tee shots, Jordan took off down the windy little shaved path to get to the fairway. I was right behind Jordan. And to show you how it was kind of getting more and more raucous as the day went on, there was someone in the middle of that little pathway. It was just a fan that somehow had gotten there and kind of put the knuckles out to Jordan, like, hey, keep up the good work. And Jordan at this point had just blown it right. I think I wanted to use the knuckles for something else, but he kind of knuckle bumped him and carried on his way. We were out in the fairway. I remember we settled, and it was David Faraday, Roger Maltby, Paul and myself. We were all standing in this little knoll. It was the only place where you could stand and see it. I remember the producer coming to my headset saying, Matty, can you see where the ball is? And we were like, no, we have no idea where it went. Remember, we didn't have the benefits of the cameras that the people at home watching had.
Right.
We saw this huge crowd of people on the right of 13 gathered around. And so we thought that's where the ball was. But then I saw Michael sprinting up this huge dune and realized that the ball was somewhere else. Later to find out the ball hit a man in the head there and ricocheted over the dune, and that crowd was surrounding the man that was injured. So as everything started to shift over the dune, and it looked surreal, it looked like some medieval battlefield. It had been off and on rain all day, so I had the waterproofs on, and I had turned to Paul and I said, Paul, I really have to use the toilet. And he said, well, can you wait just a few minutes? This shouldn't take long. I said, sure, of course I can wait a few minutes. Well, a few minutes turned into a lot more than a few minutes, as you recall. Jordan ultimately gets up and down, makes one of the greatest bogeys I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. And everyone takes off towards the 14th tee, the par 3. On the way, there were a couple of porta-johns, or porta-loos, as they phrase, on the right, hidden behind a green wall to hide the blight of the same. And I waited for the whole crowd to pass. I went into one of them. I called to my producer on my microphone and headset and said, I need to take a gentleman's break here, so I'm going to disconnect the microphone. I'll be listening. And I hear the announcer take over the call. Jordan hits his tee shot at 14, sticks it, as the announcer said, to about 2 feet. It ended up being, in reality, about 5 feet. And I thought, geez, my world couldn't be any better.
Yep.
Here I am. I'm able to relieve myself. And 2 seconds later, I hear this on the door, harsh, like demanding knock on the door. And I'm like, who could that possibly be? The entire world already passed me by. I opened the door, porta-john's door, and because of the green wall that hid it from view, the door could only open about 12 to 14, 16 inches. And I opened the door, and face to face, there's Jordan Spieth staring at me. He also needed to use the facilities. And clearly, Jordan now didn't want to hold up Matt Kuchar any more than he just had in the hole before, so he wanted to get in and get out. So he's already started to comport himself to what his task is before him. I've got to get out of the way with all this equipment on a waterproof, so we're trying to pass each other through the doorway like a Seinfeld episode.
Right.
I felt horrible. So I slinked back down the hill to the green area, plugged my microphone back in, did not tell a soul what had just took place because I was convinced that the delay and the aggravation will have thrown off Jordan Spieth. And if he misses this birdie putt, it's over. There's no way that he's going to be able to get the momentum to capture the Open. Ultimately, thankfully, by the grace of God, he made that putt. You remember what he did at 15 with the eagle, and from there, we were off to the races. So for a fleeting moment, I was convinced that I'd cost the man the Open.
Right.
Wow.
You're a great
That's
storyteller,
amazing.
Matt. We love it.